Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Coaching. My name is Kevin Britz, executive coach and trainer and international leadership facilitator, host to the Lunchtime series where we add value to people's lives, happening every day at 12 o'clock on ebizradio.com. Today, we have a very special guest joining us across the oceans. She goes and beyond part of her intro goes and beyond your health coaching certification and create a sustainable, profitable business. We are chatting to a business coach to the coaches and the wellness industry. Please welcome business coach Hailey Rowe. Hailey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for making the time. It's I know when we first chatted, when I first saw your website, I think we connected on LinkedIn or some social media platform, and I thought, yeah, it would be really interesting because I've been watching some of the stuff that you've done and advice you've been giving. But don't you want to just preface and tell us all about who you are and what you do and where you're from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I am a marketing and sales strategist. And I also have a business where we automate your lead generation, your lead nurture, and your conversions. So I do done-for-you services, and then I do the coaching and consulting. So I work with a lot of coaches, a lot of people in the wellness industry, some consultants. So we have a little bit of everybody, but mainly online entrepreneurs. And I love what I do. I host a podcast. It's called Health Coach Nation for now. It's probably going to be changing soon, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm just enjoying the journey.
Fantastic. So Hailey, I mean, what I always ask, when I often chat to other coaches is, give us an idea on how you got into the coaching space and why that was so important. I know that stats also show that a lot of stats show that we coaching as an industry is, I think probably the second most lucrative business to go into across the world. It generates a lot, and there's so many coaches out there. But I mean, what was your entry point? Why did you get into this field, and what were you seeing? What was that sort of niche that you wanted to tackle?
Yeah. So about 10 years ago, I was very interested in coaching in general and also in sales. And I started out combining my two passions, which at the time were sales and wellness. And I started my first coaching business. And I realized that for a lot of coaches who get their certifications, because I had a ton of different certifications, I realized that you can get those, but that's just the beginning, and you're going to have to learn so much about business and sales and marketing and systems and all these different things that they don't teach you in the certification program, because it's not their job to teach you that. Yeah. But at the same time, a lot of coaches I see don't go into their business like a business, and they're treating it like, I just want to coach, I just want to change the world, I just want to make an impact, but they have no strategy, they have no plan. They're hoping that somebody sees their post and comes through and wants to work with them. And so what I noticed and on my journey was, wow, there needs to be a framework for this. And I worked in business development and marketing for a couple different wellness startups. And that was a huge eye-opener, because I realized all these things that I did not know about starting a business. And about 3 years ago, one of the startups that I worked at, I got let go from because the entire team got let go. They had a bunch of challenges. They had overplanned. I mean, they overestimated how soon they could launch, and they overhired, and it was just, and there was all these restrictions for the city they were setting up in and all this stuff. And that was a real turning point for me, because I realized, well, I've learned all this stuff, and I really feel that there's a framework to marketing and sales. And I decided to start my own thing, coaching other coaches and people who have an online business when it comes to marketing and sales.
That's fantastic, because I think very often I'm guilty of that. I when I started coaching, I went in there kind of going, yeah, well, I just want to help people. I want to make a difference to people's lives, and the intention is great. But when you don't have a bit of business behind that and sort of understanding who your target market is, who you're going to be talking to, how you're going to talk to them, what is that messaging that you're going to be sending out, how do you connect with people, and all of that really, ends up driving the business into into a very bad place, right? But don't you want to sort of just preface what we are going to be chatting today? I know you've sent me some information in terms of some of the ideas and information you're going to share with us, but don't you want to share that with us so we've got some insights?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can talk about anything around sales and conversions. I can talk about mindset. I can talk about time management. So it really depends on what your audience needs the most. But I think one of the most common things that I see with online business owners and coaches is that they think that posting alone is going to be magical. And the truth is, you need to have reliable set up ways of lead generation, lead nurturing, and you have to know that that's happening every week if you want to have a constant stream of potential clients coming in. And the other part of that is how well do you convert people? So on your sales calls, on your discovery calls, I think that's another place where coaches get caught up is they hear the same things over and over, like it's too expensive, I don't have time, I don't see the value, things like that, where they have to learn how to coach through those, and rather than just constantly being like, okay, well, I didn't, they have to work on that. So I'd say those are the key points.
Yeah. It's so true, because I think that very often people also, because you have the right intention and we go in with that right intention, we kind of want to do people favors. And when it gets too expensive, then we almost feel like obliged that, well, let's not have the conversation because I know, your circumstances are tough but in terms of how you would coach someone through that, because you use the word nurturing someone or nurturing the sales. I don't I don't think a lot of people even understand that entry point. I was speaking to a sales coach recently, also from the US, and one of his strategies he's using is the ultimate personalization. And essentially, he goes to the extent of saying, well, how do I connect with you on an absolute personal way, so that you know that there's a reason why we're connecting, and it's not sort of shoot in the wind kind of thing, and it doesn't flail around. There's actually an intention and a purposeful connection that I want to create with you. Is that something that from your perspective, from marketing and putting stuff out on social media, is that something that you recommend? Is that this? What are some of those steps that you would share?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea, and I think personalization is so key, especially when everybody's getting hit with, very cookie cutter messages with a sales link, which is not the right approach. So
yeah,
when it comes to leads, they have different stages. So you have cold leads who are just finding out about you, and maybe they don't even realize they need to solve their problem that you help them solve yet. There's warm leads who maybe they are starting to research, they are starting to realize they have a problem, and it's something that you help with, obviously, and they're starting to read your stuff and research and whatnot. And then there's hot leads who are ready to jump on a sales call with you and kind of be converted to the next step. And so just like dating and just like, building a relationship, you have to understand at any given point when you're, having content or when you're reaching out to people, that they're going to be at those different stages. And so you have to have something that kind of accommodates a little bit of everything to accommodate each person at each stage. So I would suggest for sure that when you are building connections with new followers, like on Instagram, Facebook, etc., you do try to make that first message very personal, short, maybe asking a question to see kind of which pool are they in. Are they cold lead? Have they checked you out before? Do they have a goal that you help solve? or, are they really interested? In which case you probably would have already heard from them. But so I do recommend saying something like, hey, thanks so much for the follow, add something personal. And I would love to hear more about your goals or what you're looking to learn from this account or something like that. So that's one way of, and then when it comes to nurturing those leads, once they open up to you and they tell you what they're looking to do, or what they're looking to do, you can give them things like a lead magnet, which is just a free guide or PDF or whatever that's around their problem. So whatever problem they shared, maybe you have a lead magnet or a video or a podcast interview that you could share with them as a resource to be useful. Another option would be, when it comes to nurturing, is just through your content. So you coming on videos and doing certain things. Also, another way to nurture people would be like a quiz of some kind. So, because the more you know about your lead, the more you're going to be able to convert them. So, for example, one thing we've done with my partner and I, we have a company called Power Player, and we have a quiz that's kind of like, is this person pre-qualified? Do they have the problem we want to solve? And then they go into texting, which is very, very personal. And text message marketing is really something interesting I would recommend checking out. Where we get to know them better and we see if it makes sense to get on a call. We just really pre-qualify and nurture them through that sequence, rather than jumping on a call right away before they're ready and probably them not being ready. So so those are 3 ways you can kind of start to nurture people.
So in terms of with the do's and don'ts, I know you've mentioned some already, like the cookie cutter method, where people just copy and paste kind of stuff. It's an absolute don't. Try and avoid that at all costs. What else are the things that we should really stay away when it comes to our marketing and our social media?
Yeah, so I would say don't overthink things, because I think a lot of people wait to start sharing things, or they overthink their video presence, or they overthink, am I coming across as, weird or too salesy or anything? And so I think it's important to just start taking action, because the way you learn and the way you grow the fastest is by doing it and realizing, oh, wow, that didn't go so well. And so one of the don'ts is don't overthink. A do is be consistent. So even if you don't see, and really the key to business in general is being able to delay gratification and continue to show up and plant seeds even when you don't see the harvest yet. So my suggestion, the people who win in this business are the people who show up without expectation that today they're going to see the end result, right? And continue to do that. So if you've been showing up for 2 weeks and you're like, what the heck, I haven't booked any clients yet, please, be patient and know that this stuff has a compound effect. I've had people who, heard me on a podcast a year and a half ago, and then they are ready and sign up for coaching. So it just goes to show you that stuff builds up. I also would say don't go in hoping that things work out. Actually have a mentor or a plan or a framework or a strategy or something you're committed to focus on. And I also would say when it comes to your business, there's lead generation. So pick a strategy for that. Is it going to be, and you can have multiple strategies if you want, but I think first, if you're just starting out, you need to pick one at least. And so is that LinkedIn lead gen for you? Is that Facebook ads for you? Is that organic social media content marketing and just growing your accounts? Is that, what is it? And then you got to pick, how will you nurture your leads mainly, and pick your main best lead magnets or content that you're going to use to nurture. Are you going to use a webinar? Are you going to use a Facebook challenge? What are you going to do? Then you got to have your sales process. So are you confident in your offer? Do you feel confident coaching through objections and holding people accountable to what they say they want? Because that's your job as a coach, right? And then the delivery and keeping your clients. So those are the components of your business. So really, anytime you get stressed out or you don't know what's going on or you don't know why you're not getting the results you want, if you look at each of those components, you'll probably be able to figure out which of these is lacking, which of these am I not focused in, what do I need to double down on? Which areas do I need to improve? So it's simpler than you think, because I think everybody gets so distracted by, and that's another don't have shiny object syndrome. Don't jump from 12 different strategies. You tried something for 1 week and then you move on to the next thing because you're like, oh, it's not working, right? It takes time for that stuff to compound.
Absolutely. So one of the things you did share with us is a 4-step framework for booking more clients. Don't you want to run that through just briefly? Because I think you mentioned framework and you mentioned being prepared. And I think so many times people, the moment they do get someone online, they kind of they go, oh, well, let's chat, and then it just becomes a sort of casual conversation. But when you do take a bit of preparation and time to prepare for what this conversation is going to be about, it invariably changes how the end result. So don't you want to give us a bit of that sort of framework so we have some idea of what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a video on it as well for your audience. So if they ever want to just DM me on Instagram, I'm at Hailey_Rowe, HAILEY_ROWE. I'll send them the full video. But to just summarize, the FAST framework, it stands for, each letter stands for something. So I say grow your business the fast way. And the F stands for followers, the A stands for action, the S stands for sales, and the T stands for 2 things, time and transformation. And so what I mean by this is, I'll go through each one. With followers, we want to make sure you have a full enough pipeline, because the big, and this is just clear, like a lot of coaches just are starting out and they don't have any audience, right? And so you have to build that. So, and you just have to know it's a bit of a, there's statistics, meaning like if you send cold emails, X% is going to probably respond. If you do LinkedIn lead gen, X% are probably going to respond. So just needing to have a full pipeline. And so what I teach in my programs is, how do you grow that audience? How do you fill your pipeline? The other, and they have to be ideal clients as well, because it's not just about the numbers too. You don't want 1 million. If you're a coach, if you're a life coach for, moms who are stay-at-home moms, you don't want 1 million followers who are, male executives, right? So making sure they're the right people. The A stands for action. So what I mean by that is, how do you create content and offers that are compelling enough and urgent enough that your audience takes action from the posts, from the stuff you're putting out? Because, and again, another thing that people do is they share posts that are really inspirational and nice, but there's no real call to action. There's no incentive for somebody to take action right now. S stands for sales. And of course, that just means, how do you convert those leads? Do you have a sales process? Is it through a call? Do you have a pre-qualifying quiz? How does that work? And what's your conversion rate? Making sure you get that up through pre-qualifying better, and the quality of leads you're bringing in, and your sales skills. And then the last part is time and transformation. So with time, what I mean by that is, how are you spending your time in your business, the very limited time that you have? So we talk a lot about preventing shiny object syndrome, what to focus on, what are the main things you need to, like, what's a checklist of, if you're new, what are the things you should be doing? And then transformation stands for 2 things. One, the personal transformation that you go on as an entrepreneur, because you're going to have to face a lot of mindset, probably thoughts that you didn't even know you had. So you might be afraid to go on video, or you might have sales fears, or you might feel like you're not enough to be doing what you're doing. So we work through those things, because that is huge in what actions you take in your business, or what actions you procrastinate on in your business. And then last but not least, the transformation you provide for your clients, because if at the end of the day, you got to be super clear on your offer. You ideally want it to be a no-brainer offer, and you want to make sure that you know the results and benefits you provide for your clients, because a lot of times I see coaches who are focused on the features, like, oh yeah, like my coaching program's 12 weeks. You get an hour session with me at the beginning, which nobody cares how usually. They care what are the end results? What can
Yeah.
I expect? What are the benefits?
Exactly. Yeah. So you mentioned sales fears, and I think it's a biggie that often comes up for a lot of people. I know that when I started working, I was sort of flung in there and said, okay, we'll phone these people and sell this product. And essentially, that's sort of where my entry point to sales was. But essentially, as you go along and you get older, you kind of realize that. And in terms of COVID, it's really affected the way we do sales. And if we are not more proactively involved with how we're doing it, we're probably not going to get the results we get. So don't you want to just touch on the sales fears and what are those things that we can start paying attention to, or maybe reframe in a way that really gets our brains on board with why sales can just be a really great conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always go back to Dan Sullivan, who's another entrepreneur, his quote about, sorry, that's my cat's fighting, making some noise.
Sure.
So, anyways, he has a definition of sales, and it's selling is getting somebody emotionally invested in something that's good for them. And so, and intellectually, emotionally and intellectually invested in something that's good for them. So when it comes to fearing sales or thinking it's icky, sure, there are people who are salesy, and everybody thinks of the used car salesman who's just like pushy and whatnot. But the truth is, sales is learning about somebody's problem and finding a way to help them solve it. And so, and we sell ourselves literally every day on a million different things. We sell ourselves on, oh, I should drink more water, or, oh, I should, go to that movie, or you need to try this restaurant. So it's usually we sell things we believe in that are good for us. And so I think the first thing to look at if you are feeling sales is icky is to look at your product and ask yourself, would I have really wanted this? Would I offer this to my best friend? Would I offer this to myself when I was struggling with the things that my ideal clients are struggling with? So that's one, and make sure you believe in your product, because if you're not sold on that, you're going to really struggle. And the second thing is ask yourself, well, what would it look like if sales was fun for me, if sales was serving? And usually it starts with a conversation. And that's the other thing is I think people think sales is a pitch. Sales should come very naturally. It should come out of people asking you, okay, so what is it? What is your offer?
Yeah.
So to get to that point, you kind of use it as a coaching session. Sales is coaching, really, because you're learning about their problem, what they tried in the past, seeing if you can help them, identifying the core issues they want to solve, and then offering your product as a way to do that. So if you look at sales as coaching and serving, and let me learn about this person's problem, and they don't want to keep searching for solutions. So it's actually if you have something that will solve the problem, it's actually your duty and responsibility to offer that, right? Rather than letting them continue to search and go around the hamster wheel.
Absolutely. So, I love that. And I think, people often don't take the approach of serving. And, from being in this position for a couple of years now as well, it's sort of the more I do what I do, the more I start realizing that how else can I serve my clients? How else can I serve? And by doing that and investing yourself in that way, you not only start creating a wonderful relationship with your client, one of my clients eventually said to me, you know what, you not only have done so much for our business, but I feel like I've created a new friend from this engagement. So and it's not a case of going, you need to be friends with all your clients, but it probably helps when you are, right? And I think that people often forget that a good sales conversation usually feels just like a good conversation, and the more you tap into that, the more you get your brain on board with what that looks like, the more you know about it. So lastly, I want to ask you, because unfortunately our sessions are not very long, and this goes out on radio, so we got to try and squeeze it in. But when can we? What is coming up in your world at the moment? What programs are you doing? What's happening? What can we tap into? And then after that, how do we get hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm working on right now is, of course, growing continuously and just trying to always improve things. But mainly, I would say Power Player is one of my main projects. You can go to gopowerplayer.com if you want to check that out with my business partner, Paul, Barry, and myself. And then I also have a program called the Zero to Hero Coach Program, which is how to really grow your business from scratch. So even if you have, depending on where you're starting from, there's two different sections of it. There's the foundational piece, and that's like getting clear on your niche, your products, your sales process, etc. And then there's a piece of marketing, booking more calls, filling your pipeline, growing your accounts, etc. So it really teaches you how to book clients online and do it without necessarily needing a ton of different systems, but really getting focused on what systems you choose. So those would be the two things. As far as where you can find me, I would love to offer your audience a free consult call with me, or just that free masterclass I mentioned about the 4-step framework. So if they want to check that out, you guys can just DM me on Instagram. I'm at Hailey_Rowe. I'm also at HaileyRowe.com. And I have a Facebook community specifically for coaches, and it's called Health Coach Nation, facebook.com/groups/Health Coach Nation. So yeah, I think that covers all of it.
Awesome. Hailey Rowe, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I've taken a lot away from that. I'm definitely going to go and check out the Go Power Player. It's a Go Power Player, right?
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to check that out. And I already have you on LinkedIn and Instagram, so I follow you regularly. But guys, remember, all the information that Hailey has mentioned is going to be in the description box below, and it goes out on all the social medias. And so if you want to get in contact, please check it out. Hailey, thank you so much. Thanks. It's a quick 30-minute conversation, but I had fun, and please let us know. I'll tag you in all the posts and everything, but please share what's happening in your world. Definitely want to keep in touch.
Yay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day. I'll chat to you soon.
Talk to you soon.